And then when I started working with Coach Mills, and he kind of sat me down and explained that, listen, everybody who's a professional has talent. So it's who works the hardest on their talent that will be the best. And that's when I kind of understood that you can't get to the top with just talent alone. You need work, you need sacrifice, you have to be dedicated. And it took me time, but I learned along the way and I got better over time.
And I'm interested in that mentality to do that, because I can imagine having
a 17-year-old kid from Bakersfield, California, just ran 9.8 seconds in the 100 meters. No Nike deal, no professional agent, no training facility. Just a junior at a public school where the track has cracks the groundskeeper gives up on patching. And not one collegiate program offered him a scholarship, not even a partial ride. Bakersfield High wasn't on any scout's radar. Then, Usain Bolt saw the footage. The 8-time Olympic gold medalist didn't just notice the time, he reached out, personally, with a coaching offer that would have changed Christian Miller's entire life. He said something that caught everyone off guard. We will get to that. But first, you need to understand just how impossible this story actually is. Because 9.8 seconds doesn't just mean Christian Miller is fast. It means that if he had run that time at the Tokyo Olympics, in the actual 100-meter final against the world's best, he finishes third. Third in the world. Not third in his age group, not third on his team. Third in the world. In a sport where the difference between first and third is literally measured in hundredths of a second, and he splits the difference. And he did it from a school where the previous record holder in the 100 meters ran 10.14 seconds, 13 years ago.
Bakersfield, California. Not a place you associate with world-class sprinting. It's a city built on oil wells and agricultural routes. It's inland, it's hot for 8 months a year. It's the kind of place where ESPN scouts don't make the drive unless someone is already making noise at a state meet. The sports culture runs deep in Bakersfield, but it's built on football and basketball. Track and field exists in the margins. Christian Miller grew up in Bakersfield's east side. His mother worked 2 jobs, his father was in construction. There was no family history of elite athletics, no family connection to the sport, no training camps, no private coaches, no network that said, your kid belongs at the next level. He found track in 9th grade, not because he had always dreamed of it, because the basketball program was full, and the football program moved their tryouts to a week he was working. Track was open, track was on the schedule, track was available. But something happened the first time he stepped on the straightaway. He was fast. Not top 10 in the state fast at first, just faster than the people around him. His 9th grade time was 11.04 seconds. His 10th grade time dropped to 10.47. By 11th grade, he was running 9.98 seconds, approaching the magical sub-10 barrier. But Bakersfield High had a reputation problem. The school itself is fine, but in the eyes of D1 programs and the scholarship committees, Bakersfield isn't a pipeline. It's not IMG Academy. It's not a boarding school with a $50,000 annual athletic budget. It's a public school in California's Central Valley, where the running track is the same color it was in 2008, cracking into the shape of a broken spine. By the time Christian Miller was a junior running 9.98, the silence from the big programs was deafening. Stanford, that's the school 30 minutes north, one of the best universities in America, one of the best athletic programs in America. They recruited extensively in California. They came to Bakersfield exactly 0 times for Christian Miller. UCLA, Cal, San Diego State, Oregon, Washington, all of them passed. All of them sent the message that was very clear without saying a word. You are not good enough for us, and even if you were, you are not from a place we trust. Not one full ride offer came, not one partial scholarship, not one verbal commitment from a program with legitimate resources. The message from the system was clear. You are fast for Bakersfield, but Bakersfield doesn't count. You are not caliber. You are a local story, not a national prospect. One Division II program in Northern California offered a half scholarship. It was generous by regional standards. It was also the only offer that came.
Here is where the story gets specific. Christian Miller did not take the Division II offer. Instead, he made a decision that almost nobody at Bakersfield High understood. He stayed. He trained through the summer. He worked the evening shift at a Target warehouse in Bakersfield, loading trucks from 4 p.m. to midnight. He woke up at 5:30 a.m. the next morning to train before school. He did this for the entire summer leading into his senior year. 4 months of 5-hour sleep, 4 months of working a minimum wage job in a warehouse that smelled like cardboard and human effort. 4 months of knowing that his only Division I offers were nowhere coming, and his backup plan, take the D2 scholarship and get out, had no timeline. He was 17. He was alone in this decision. He was betting that if he got faster, if he dropped his time lower, if he proved the system wrong, something would change. That detail right there is the whole story. Because most 17-year-olds don't bet on themselves like that. Most 17-year-olds take the half scholarship and say thank you to college sports. Most 17-year-olds don't believe they are good enough to turn down an actual offer and come back. Christian Miller did. He trained at a public track in Bakersfield, California, convinced that the system was wrong about him, not that he was wrong about the system. By regional sectionals in May of his senior year, the time he was chasing was clear: 9.89 seconds. That was the barrier. That was the number that would make national scouts pay attention. That was the time that would change his story from local to real. He ran 9.91 at sectionals. Close. Painfully close. Not enough. Then came the California State Championships. 9.87 seconds. Raw. That is the number. 9.87 seconds. 0.02 of a second under the barrier. One of the fastest times ever recorded by a high school junior in California. A time that would win most state meets. A time that would make any legitimate D1 program look up from their computer and ask, who is this kid from Bakersfield? 9.87. That was a jump of 0.11 seconds in 1 month. For a sprinter, that is not a small jump. That is a generational jump. That is a something changed jump. Let's put it in context against his own history. Christian Miller went from 9.98 seconds as a junior to 9.87 seconds as a senior. That is not incremental improvement. That is not the normal progression of a high school athlete. That is a leap. He dropped 110 milliseconds in 12 months. At the elite level of sprinting, that kind of progression does not happen by accident. It happens because something in the system changed. Training changed. Intensity changed. Belief changed. But here is what makes the 9.87 truly impossible to ignore. If Christian Miller had run that time at the Tokyo Olympics, in the actual 100-meter final with the world's best sprinters in the universe, he would have placed third. Not third in his heat, not third in his round, third in the final, third in the world. 9.87. The time that would have won an Olympic medal in most Olympic Games in history, but he ran it in Bakersfield, on a regional track, as a 17-year-old high school kid. Think about that for 1 second. Not in a controlled environment, not at an elite facility, not with a professional coach and a nutrition team and a sports psychologist on retainer, on a track in Bakersfield that has been cracking since 2008. The message was not just fast. The message was, this is what I can do with nothing. Imagine what I could do with something.
Let's be factual about what happened next. Christian Miller became the first athlete to run sub 9.90 in the 100 meters from the state of California in the under 18 category while attending a public school with no indoor training facility. That is not hyperbole. That is a historic fact. That puts this performance in a completely different category. The barrier of 9.90 is not arbitrary. It's the line between very fast high school athlete and legitimate elite class prospect. It's the line between a regional story and a national story. It's the line that changes how scouts evaluate you. And no one from a program like Bakersfield High had ever crossed it before. The message the Times sent was not just about speed. It was about the system being wrong. It was about California having missed something. It was about every program that passed on Christian Miller having made a mistake. That is not a small fact. That is a historic fact. 2 weeks after the sectionals meet, Christian Miller got a direct message on Instagram. It was from Usain Bolt. The message was short. It was personal. It said, "Incredible performance. That time is serious. I want to help you. I have resources. I have experience. Let me coach you personally. You have the genetics and the hunger. Together, we can get you to the Olympics." It was not a business offer. It was not a marketing opportunity. It was Bolt, the fastest man who has ever lived, looking at a 17-year-old kid from Bakersfield and seeing something. The story that everyone expected to happen next, Christian Miller accepts, gets flown to a private training facility, begins his rise under the wing of the greatest sprinter in history, becomes the story of the kid who got found. That is not what happened.
Christian Miller responded the next day. His message was 3 sentences. He said thank you. He said he respected Bolt more than almost anyone on the planet. Then he said he was going to stay in Bakersfield. He was going to train with his high school coach. He was going to prove that the system was wrong, not by joining the elite establishment, but by building something from the place the establishment had rejected. He wrote, "Mr. Bolt, I'm grateful, but I'm going to finish this where it started." He hit send. Not a speech, not a list of people he proved wrong, just a 17-year-old kid deciding that loyalty to the person who believed in him first, his public school coach in Bakersfield, mattered more than the most famous endorsement in track and field history. Bolt responded with a single sentence. He sent the fire emoji. Then he wrote, "I understand. Do it your way. I'm watching." Los Angeles 2028 is fewer than 2 years away. Christian Miller will be 19 years old, a college freshman, likely, running at a time of year when every college program in America is competing at their highest level, and there is no better stage on American soil than the home Olympics. A kid from Bakersfield, a public school, no family in the sport, a warehouse job the summer before his breakout, turned down the greatest sprinter alive, made the system wrong. If he continues this trajectory, if he continues to drop time, if he gets to the Olympic trials running in the 970s or better, he has a real shot at representing America on that stage. Here's the question. When Christian Miller is standing on that Olympic podium in Los Angeles, does he break the 980 barrier? Does he run the fastest time of his life on American soil against the world watching? Drop it in the comments. I need to know. And if you want the full breakdown of how Bakersfield High produced an Olympic-class sprinter from nothing, subscribe. Next video, we're breaking down every moment of Christian Miller's journey, from the warehouse shift that changed everything, to the text message he sent Usain Bolt,